In this alternate timeline, Anakin Skywalker and Padme Amidala secretly have a child years before the events of Revenge of the Sith. Raised in secrecy, this child's existence changes the course of galactic history, influencing Anakin's fall, the rise of the Empire, and even the fate of Luke and Leia. Before the Clone Wars consumed the galaxy, before Anakin Skywalker became the chosen one lost to darkness, there was a quiet moment. A moment that changed everything. In this alternate path, Anakin and Padme Amidala fall in love, not in secrecy, but with the quiet support of a few trusted friends. And in that brief time of peace, a child is born. Not Luke, not Leia, but their firstborn son. His name is Anakin Skywalker. The child is born in a hidden villa on Naboo, under the protection of Senator Bail Organa and with the silent approval of Obi-Wan Kenobi, who suspects the truth but says nothing. The galaxy, distracted by the shadows of war and politics, never notices. Neither does the Jedi Council. They are too focused on the crumbling Republic. Kain is raised far from the Senate, far from Coruscant, under the care of Padme's most loyal handmaidens. His presence in the Force is strong enough to move objects before he can speak, strong enough that Yoda himself might sense him, if he weren't blinded by the storm rising around him. Anakin, caught in the heart of war, finds stolen moments to visit. He holds Kain in his arms after battles, whispering to him the dreams of a galaxy without war. He tells him stories of Jedi, of peace, of destiny. And with each visit, his fear grows. Fear that one day the Jedi Order will discover Kain. Fear that they will take his son away, just as they took him from his mother. Fear that they will never understand. And so, Anakin builds a wall between himself and the Council. Not out of rebellion, but out of love. In the shadows of war, he becomes not only a Jedi Knight, but a father. And in the secret smile of his infant son, the seeds of a different destiny begin to take root. Not of galactic conquest, but of desperate protection. A hidden child, a secret family, a future that could change the Force forever. Far from the political chaos of Coruscant, Anakin Skywalker's early years unfold in quiet beauty. The villa on Naboo, surrounded by green hills and shimmering lakes, becomes his first world. Padme Amidala watches over him with a gentleness that only a mother can give. She reads him stories of ancient Naboo heroes, tells him tales of courage and kindness, and sings soft lullabies as moonlight filters through the windows. Bail Organa, ever the loyal friend, visits in secret. He brings news of the Republic and gifts from Alderaan, small handcrafted toys and rare books filled with history. And though Obi-Wan Kenobi never speaks of it openly, he comes when he can. He studies Kain quietly, sensing the boy's connection to the Force. He notices how the child can sense someone approaching before they arrive, how flowers seem to sway toward him when he laughs, how he can make a ball roll into his hands without touching it. Kain is bright-eyed, curious, and unafraid. He explores the gardens, chases the wind through the fields, and spends hours by the water, tossing pebbles into the lake and watching the ripples spread. But even in this peace, shadows gather. Anakin Skywalker, still fighting in the Clone Wars, carries the weight of two lives, the one the galaxy sees, and the one hidden from all but a few. When his duties allow, he returns to Naboo. The moment Kain runs into his arms, the battles and bloodshed seem to fade away. He lifts his son high, hearing the boy's laughter echo like music. Yet the happiness never lasts long. Each time he leaves, Anakin feels the pull of fear tightening inside him. He remembers how the Jedi took him from his mother, how they believed attachment led to the dark side. He imagines the Council's reaction if they discovered Kain. He imagines them separating father from son in the name of the Jedi Code. And with each passing visit, his loyalty shifts a little more, not toward the Jedi Order, but toward his family. In the golden light of Naboo, Kain grows stronger, more aware, and more deeply bound to the father who will one day be forced to choose between the Code and his child. The war stretches on, and Anakin Skywalker's responsibilities as a Jedi pull him further from Naboo. Yet no matter how far he travels, his thoughts return to Kain. Between battles, he slips away when he can, flying to the quiet sanctuary where his son waits. These visits are brief, stolen from the chaos, but they are the moments he lives for. When Cain sees him, he runs with open arms, his small feet pounding the marble paths. Anakin kneels, lifting him high, feeling the warmth of life in his arms after so many cold nights in war. They walk the gardens together. Cain tells his father about the things he has learned, how he made the wind move the flowers, how he knew a bird would land before it did, how he could sense when his mother was about to enter the room. Anakin listens, both proud and troubled. He knows the boy's connection to the Force is undeniable. He also knows that the Jedi Code forbids what they share. As they sit beneath the shade of a tree, Anakin teaches Cain in secret. Not formal Jedi training. He dares not risk drawing attention, but small lessons. How to feel the life around him. How to breathe in the Force and let it guide him. How to let go of fear. Cain listens with wide eyes, hanging on every word. In those moments, Anakin sees the possibility of a future beyond the war, beyond the Order, one where he could be both Jedi and father. But in the back of his mind, shadows whisper. The Jedi Council's voice, the threat of discovery, the fear that someone will sense the boy and take him away. It is in these moments that Chancellor Palpatine's words begin to echo more strongly in his mind. The promise that the galaxy could be shaped into a place where no one need lose those they love. Anakin's heart aches when it is time to leave. Cain clings to him, not understanding why his father always has to go. And as the ship carries him back to the war, Anakin swears silently that he will protect his son at any cost, no matter what path he must walk to do so. Chancellor Palpatine watches Anakin Skywalker more closely with each passing day. He sees the restless fire in the young Jedi's eyes, the same fire he has worked for years to shape. Through whispered conversations and carefully placed doubts, Palpatine begins to pull at the threads of Anakin's loyalty. He speaks of the Jedi Council's rigid rules, of how they do not trust him, of how they will never see his true potential. And then, with calculated precision, he strikes at Anakin's deepest fear. "What would they do," he asks softly, "if they knew about your son?" Anakin stiffens at the words. He never told the Chancellor about Cain Skywalker, yet somehow Palpatine knows. The older man's expression is calm, almost fatherly, as he leans closer. "They would take him from you, Anakin. They would train him in their way, strip him of the love and family you've given him. They would turn him into something cold, something obedient to their will." Anakin tries to dismiss the thought, but it lingers like a shadow in his mind. He remembers his own childhood on Tatooine, how the Jedi took him from his mother, how they forbade him from ever returning until it was too late. Palpatine's voice is smooth, almost gentle. "I could help you protect him. I could show you ways the Jedi never will. Powers they fear. Powers that could keep your family safe forever." The words sink deep, feeding the growing divide between Anakin and the Jedi Council. He begins to watch the Masters with suspicion, wondering if they sense Cain's existence. Every meeting feels heavier. Every glance feels like a silent accusation. And in the quiet moments, Anakin's mind returns to Palpatine's promise. A galaxy where no father need lose his child. A galaxy shaped by strength, not by the will of those too blind to see the truth. The seed of doubt has been planted, and with every beat of his heart, Anakin feels it grow. Not for power, not for ambition, but for the one thing he cannot live without. His son. It begins with a whisper in the Force, a faint disturbance that Master Yoda cannot ignore. From the meditation chambers of the Jedi Temple, he feels it, a presence strong in the Force, but hidden like a flame behind thick glass. He cannot see it clearly, but it is there, and it is growing. Yoda brings his concern to the Jedi Council, speaking in quiet tones of a potential Force sensitive somewhere in the mid-rim. The other Masters exchange uncertain glances. Mace Windu suggests sending scouts to investigate, but the war stretches the Order thin. Still, Yoda insists. He cannot shake the sense that this presence is connected to Anakin Skywalker. It is not suspicion born of distrust, but of instinct. The bond between master and apprentice leaves traces in the Force, and Yoda feels something unusual around Anakin, an emotional depth rarely seen in Jedi. Obi-Wan Kenobi, though uneasy, offers to investigate quietly. His trips to Naboo under the guise of Republic business become more frequent. He observes Padme closely, noting her careful secrecy. One day, from a distance, he sees the boy, Anakin Skywalker. He watches the child laugh as flowers sway toward him in the garden, the same way younglings in the temple attract training remotes without trying. Obi-Wan's heart tightens. He knows what this means. He knows what the Council will say. But he also remembers Anakin's childhood, his longing for a mother, the pain of separation. He hesitates. When he returns to Coruscant, his report is incomplete. He speaks of Naboo's stability, of political matters, but he says nothing of Kane. Yet Yoda's eyes remain sharp, studying him silently. The Council's attention is now turning toward the boy, even if they do not yet know his name. And far away, Anakin begins to sense the danger. Through the Force, he feels the brush of another's presence near Kane. It is subtle, but enough to send a warning through his soul. The Jedi are close to discovering the truth. And if they do, Anakin knows there will be no going back. The tension within Anakin Skywalker grows heavier with each passing day. The Clone Wars rage on, but his heart is not in the fight as it once was. His mind drifts constantly to Naboo, to Kane Skywalker, and to the growing risk that the Jedi Council will uncover the truth. When the Council summons him to discuss sensitive matters, he feels every word they speak is wrapped in hidden meaning. Mace Windu's measured gaze lingers longer than usual. Yoda's questions are simple, yet probing. Anakin answers carefully, concealing his emotions behind the mask of a Jedi Master. But inside, his fear sharpens into resolve. Palpatine senses it. In quiet meetings away from prying ears, the Chancellor speaks of strength and destiny. He tells Anakin that the Jedi are bound by outdated traditions, too blind to see the world as it truly is. He paints visions of a galaxy where Anakin has the power to protect everyone he loves. A galaxy where no council can dictate his choices. And each time Anakin listens, the promise becomes harder to resist. Then comes the moment that changes everything. Through the Force, Anakin feels Kane's fear. It is faint, but it cuts through the noise of war like a blade. He knows someone has been near his son, someone with the presence of a Jedi. It is confirmation of his worst fear. He returns to Coruscant with a decision already made. The Jedi Order will not take Kane from him. They will not shape his son into something distant, cold, and bound by rules. If that means turning his back on them, so be it. Palpatine's words echo in his mind, offering a path forward. A dangerous path, but one that promises safety for Kane and Padme. The line between Jedi and Sith begins to blur. And for Anakin, the choice is no longer about loyalty to the Republic or the Order. It is about the one thing he cannot lose. His family. The night on Naboo is calm, the air carrying the gentle scent of blooming flowers. But for Kane Skywalker, it is the night his world changes forever. Whispers in the villa awaken him. Soft footsteps in the hall. A sudden chill in the Force. Padme Amidala rushes into his room, her face pale. She gathers him into her arms without a word, clutching him close. Outside, a ship waits, its ramp lowered, engines humming quietly. Bail Organa stands beside it, urgency in his eyes. "They've found him," he says. No explanation is needed. Padme understands at once. The Jedi Council, or perhaps something far worse, has discovered the existence of her son. In the shadows beyond the villa, a figure moves. Obi-Wan Kenobi. His expression is heavy with conflict. He steps forward slowly, hands raised in peace. "Padme, I only want to keep him safe," he says, but his voice carries the weight of duty. Kane clings to his mother, sensing her fear and the tension in the air. From the skies above, a ship descends, Anakin's fighter. The landing is swift, the hiss of the cockpit opening cutting through the silence. He strides toward them, his eyes fixed on Obi-Wan. The two Jedi, face each other in the moonlight. "You shouldn't be here," Anakin says, his voice low and dangerous. Obi-Wan's gaze flickers to Kain. "And you know why I am." The moment hangs between them like the edge of a blade. Padme feels Kain's heartbeat against her own, her grip tightening. Bail urges them toward the waiting ship, but Anakin steps closer, placing a protective hand on his son's shoulder. "You will not take him," he says, his voice steady but burning with resolve. For the first time, Obi-Wan sees it clearly. Anakin's bond, his determination to defy the Jedi Code for the sake of his child. And somewhere in the distance, the Force trembles, sensing the storm that is about to break. Years pass, and the galaxy changes. Kain Skywalker grows into a young man, his life shaped by secrecy and the constant need to stay ahead of those who might use him or destroy him. Bail Organa and Padme Amidala ensure he is hidden, moving him from world to world when danger draws near. Sometimes it is the Empire's agents they evade. Other times, it is remnants of a Jedi, now scattered and desperate in the wake of the Purge. Kain learns to blend in, to watch more than he speaks, to read the room before stepping into it. Yet within him, the Force calls like a quiet storm. One day, in the dusty streets of a rebel-held outpost, he crosses paths with a young man not much younger than himself, Luke Skywalker. Neither knows the truth at first. They speak briefly, the conversation light, but Kain feels something familiar in the way the Force moves around Luke. Later, in a hidden corner of the base, Kain overhears Luke speaking with Princess Leia. Her voice is urgent, her words about the rebellion's fight burning with conviction. Kain does not realize until much later that she, too, is bound to him by blood. Fate moves quickly after that. Kain is drawn deeper into the rebellion's cause, not because of politics, but because the Empire has taken too much from too many. He becomes a skilled pilot, his instincts sharper than most. In battle, he moves as if the stars themselves guide him. Rumors begin to spread among the rebels about the mysterious pilot who can anticipate danger before it happens. It is during one mission, an attack on an Imperial supply convoy, that Kain faces the truth. A massive shadow falls over his starfighter, Darth Vader's ship. Through the comms, a voice cold and deep speaks his name. "Kain." He freezes, the sound hitting like a memory he does not have. In that instant, the Force surges between them, and both father and son realize the truth. The battle rages in the black void of space, turbo lasers lighting the darkness like flashes of lightning. Kain Skywalker's hands grip the controls of his fighter, heart pounding in his chest. He can feel the enemy before he sees them, every movement of their ships, every shift in their intent. Then, through the chaos, a shadow looms larger than all the rest. Darth Vader's TIE Advance slides into view, a predator stalking its prey. "Kain," the deep, mechanical voice echoes over the comms. It is not a call sign, not a threat. It is a name spoken with unsettling familiarity. Kain's breath catches. He does not know this man, yet something deep within his soul reacts to the sound. The two ships dance through the battle, neither firing at first, each measuring the other. The Force hums like a taut wire between them. Vader's voice comes again, lower, almost human. "You are strong in the Force." Kain does not answer. His instincts scream to break away, but another part of him, one he cannot explain, wants to stay, needs to understand. The fight around them fades. It becomes only the two of them, circling in the endless dark. And then, with a sudden burst of speed, Kain dives, pulling a maneuver few could survive. Vader follows effortlessly. "You have my blood," Vader says at last. The words hit harder than any laser blast. Images Kain has never seen flood his mind. Flashes of a man in Jedi robes, a woman's smile, a child's laugh in a sunlit courtyard. The truth begins to take shape, but he cannot yet believe it. Vader presses on, his tone almost commanding. "Join me. Together, we can bring order to the galaxy." Kain's grip tightens on the controls. The offer is tempting in its power, but heavy with shadow. Before he can answer, rebel reinforcements arrive, breaking the spell. Their ships fire, forcing Kain to turn away, his fighter darting back towards safety. Yet even as the distance grows, he knows this is not the end. The voice will find him again. Anakin Skywalker could not shake the weight of the encounter. The deep voice still echoed in his mind, the way it had spoken his name with certainty, as if it had always belonged to him. Sleep brought no peace, only visions. He saw flashes of a young man with intense eyes, wielding a blue lightsaber. He saw battles in strange places, a temple filled with light, and a woman reaching for him through a haze of fire. He began to question the life he thought he knew. Bail Organa had told him his parents were gone, victims of the war. Padme had always avoided talking about his father. Now he understood why. The rebellion gave him missions to keep him busy, but Kane's thoughts were elsewhere. Every star system he passed, every whisper in the Force, felt like it was pulling him closer to the truth. On one mission to intercept Imperial intelligence, Kane found himself face-to-face with an old man cloaked in brown robes. The stranger introduced himself as Obi-Wan Kenobi. There was a stillness in the man's eyes, but also a sadness that seemed to grow when he looked at Kane. "You have your father's presence," Obi-Wan said quietly. Kane pressed him for answers, but Obi-Wan hesitated. Finally, he admitted that Kane's father had once been Anakin Skywalker, a Jedi Knight, a hero of the Clone Wars, before he fell to darkness and became Darth Vader. The words felt like a strike to the chest. Kane staggered back, his mind refusing to accept it. Yet, deep down, something clicked into place. Obi-Wan told him there was still good buried somewhere within Anakin Skywalker, but finding it would be dangerous, perhaps impossible. Kane's heart was torn. He wanted to hate Vader for what he had become, but he also wanted to understand the man behind the mask. As he returned to his ship, the stars outside the viewport blurred into lines of light. His path was no longer just about the rebellion. It was about blood, destiny, and the hope that even the darkest shadow might one day find the light again.